Good to see you. All right. Well, good morning. We're here for a special board meeting of the Marion County Board of Commissioners to fill a vacancy for Oregon State House Representative, House District 19. Boy, that sounds familiar. 9.5 years ago, or 9.5 years. It's Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019. It's 10 o'clock. We're here in the Senator Hearing Room at 555 Court Street, Northeast in Salem, Oregon. We have the zip code 97301. And as always, we start our board sessions with the Pledge of Allegiance, if you'll join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, I'd like to welcome our guest here today. I'm Commissioner Kevin Cameron. To my left,
Sam Brentano.
Colin Willis.
It's great to have all our guests here, and Becky, Raquel, and Brad, welcome. Been in your seat a couple of times before. I know how you feel right now. Really relaxed, no stress, right? That's good. So let me just outline the meeting and how we will go today's process. Each nominee will have 3 minutes to present an opening statement. Then the commissioners will ask questions. Sometimes some of us go off on a tangent and ask questions that aren't on here.
Why are you looking here?
I don't know. We'll ask questions, and each nominee will have a chance to answer the question before moving on. 2 minutes will be allocated for the answer per question per candidate. Chad will hold up a yellow card when you have 30 seconds left, and then a red card when time is up. And I think you get kicked out of the soccer match when the red card goes up, right? I'm learning about.
He might know.
Is that?
Yeah, that's how it works, yeah.
I watched the World Cup, the Women's World Cup. I
Did
know.
you?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Or I watched the last 2 matches, I guess. And then once we're finished ask questions, each nominee will have 3 minutes to do a closing statement. And after the closing statement, we will take a short break and then come back for deliberations. So again, welcome. It's a good day. Good to have you here. And we'll go ahead and we will start alphabetically with opening statements. So who's first? I think it's Becky.
If you're gonna go first, Dave.
Yeah. Okay. You're all so close in alphabet.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank
Becky,
you,
go ahead.
Commissioners. Why am I here? Why am I putting myself in this stressful situation today? Why do I volunteer long hours on weekends and evenings? Why do I attend so many meetings in the evenings after long work days? I chose to run as candidate for House District 19 after the position was vacated by Senator Denise Bowles. The reason was to give you, the commissioners, 3 conservative pro-life candidates to choose from. It was not an easy decision, and when I announced, I was overwhelmed by the support and enthusiasms of PCPs and other constituents. They reminded me of the difference I could make in my state, which is something I talk about a lot. I met with many of those constituents, and they discussed their thoughts and concerns, some of which are the foster youth of Oregon, the struggles of small businesses, which includes farming and logging, the freedom for parents, the medical freedom to make the best choice for their children, and the education freedom, whether they want to send their children to public, private, or homeschool them. I make a difference now, but the title, state representative, that comes with this position, it opens a lot of doors, and it starts conversations. Charles Edward Montague said, "There's no limit to what a man can do as long as he doesn't care a straw who gets the credit." I always thought Reagan said that, but he didn't. Well, he repeated it. I want to focus on issues for House District 19. I want to work side by side with Senator Bowles. I have a servant's heart, and I want to help House District 19 and Marion County and Oregon. From my past experience, I know the dreams and fears of farming, how small changes to laws and regulations sometimes have huge effects on small businesses. It's sometimes hard for people to wade through the bureaucracy of government. That's why I'm here, to make a difference in Oregon. I'm here for my grandchildren, for your children and your grandchildren. I want to be a voice for Oregon's foster youth, the vaccine injured, the working Oregonian trying to live the American dream. It's time for me to step forward, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Raquel.
Good morning, and thank you, Commissioners, for the opportunity to appear before you as one of 3 nominees for appointment to House District
Can you
19.
pull the microphone closer?
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, just keep it close.
Okay, thank you. A special thanks to all the people, volunteers, and professionals that have had a hand in the process to this point. As stated, my name is Raquel Moore Green, and my husband James and I have resided in our current home since the summer of 1995. We have raised 2 of our 3 children here, and currently 2 of our 10 grandchildren reside in Marion County. I'm a lifelong registered conservative Republican. I love Salem, its people. I love the surrounding communities, their beauty. I love the state and the opportunities afforded to all Oregonians. My second professional career, post-third child going to college, has afforded me a unique opportunity to see the many facets of our area that span the urban-rural divide. While Salem is not Multnomah County, we certainly have many city dwellers who continue to put forth an agenda that is repressive of our rural communities. Through my many years as Salem Area Chamber of Commerce and SEDCOR member, I have witnessed how all of us, working together for a better tomorrow for everyone, city dweller, farmer, manufacturer, and educator, can arrive at outcomes that satisfies everyone's desire for honest work and safe communities. This June, I completed 6 years as the Ward 3 representative on the City of Salem's Budget Committee. Serving as committee chair in 2018, I was then appointed to the Sustainable Revenue Task Force, which helped to produce the recommendations to the City Council on how best to approach the imbalance of the city's budget. Through this service, I gained a perspective of the budgetary challenges facing our local communities and the direct impact the state's budget, positive or negative, has on all local municipalities. Over the course of the last 9 years, I have professionally managed numerous political campaigns for state and county level positions, as well as local city ballot measures. The most recent was the re-election of Senator Jackie Winters. Additionally, I have had the honor and privilege to serve on the legislative staff of then Republican House Leader Kevin Cameron, and this last legislative session for the late Senator Winters. I am familiar with and have a good sense of the local political landscape across all segments of government, inside and outside of the Capitol. The combination of several professional clients and projects intersecting has deepened my knowledge and given me a richer understanding for some of the issues facing our correctional institutions, their associated policies, and the absolute need to work together. My work with the Union Gospel Mission of Salem has shed a brighter light on homelessness and how the partnering of nonprofits, the faith community, municipalities, and community members can and do make a difference for some of our most marginalized citizens. I hope to bring this type of outcome to the issues addressed at the state level as the next representative of House District 19, and I ask for your vote this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Brad?
Thank you, Chair Cameron, members of the commission. The decision to actually come before you today was not made lightly. I prayed on it for several days. I have served as a Salem City Councilor for the past 19 years. And I've been involved in the appointment process several times as well. I think first being Commissioner Cameron's selection to the HD 19 seat 15 years ago or so. And the decision that comes before you today is a difficult one. And the decisions that I make on a daily, weekly basis, I hold as a responsibility that I don't take lightly either. The city of Salem has gone through changes throughout the time that I spent there. The oath that I sworn 5 times to defend the Constitution and laws of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon, and the charter and the ordinances of the city of Salem are decisions that weigh heavily on me. We had our meeting last night. It takes me 2 to 3 hours after that meeting to actually reflect on the decisions that I made and the potential to impact those whom I represent. And I have to defend those decisions on a daily basis. I tend to like to cook a lot, so I do most of the shopping. And, you know, a trip to the supermarket, maybe 15 minutes, or it may be an hour and 45 minutes. I've knocked on thousands of doors. I've made tens of thousands of votes. I've read over 1 million pieces of paper that come before me. I come prepared. I'm deliberative and make my decisions based on the law. I'm a constitutional conservative. That pretty much answers a lot of the other values and positions that I hold dear. And I come before you today knowing that I can take the knowledge and skills. You have my resume as a submittal, and I won't go into the individual components of that, but I offer 20 years of government and 30 years inside of the private sector as both a student and a teacher, and I offer those services and that knowledge and experience that I've gained along the way to extend to those in HD 19 and the state of Oregon. Would appreciate your vote for appointment this morning.
Great. Well, thank you, all 3 of you, for your opening statements and for being here today. And we're going to go through a series of questions that you all have a chance to answer. Again, we're going to start in alphabetical order, and then we're going to rotate who starts first with the answer. For some reason, they appointed me chair today, or the Secretary of State said I should be chair today and get to go first. And I'm actually going to read the question that's on my list here. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure. Good, I'm glad you're all laughing. Yeah. Okay, so Becky, I will start with you. What are your specific concrete plans to keep yourself grounded and in touch with your constituents as a legislator?
My family keeps me grounded. And just this last Saturday, our neighborhood had a pie social. We do that 4 times a year. We get together and just discuss life, check in. I plan on being that sort of legislator, where I just check in and make sure that we're on the same page, that I'm aware of what needs to be heard and communicate with people.
Okay, great. Thank you. Raquel.
Would you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What specific concrete plans to keep yourself grounded and in touch with your constituents as a legislator?
To keep myself grounded and in touch with my constituents, first off, I'm going to listen. I think that's one of the primary roles of any leader, is to listen to the concerns, the hopes, the dreams of people that they're representing or working for or with. There are specific activities that I would put into place. Obviously, there are town halls, there are breakfasts that can be hosted out in the community, legislative newsletters, as well as non-legislative newsletters that can go out to constituents and supporters. Primarily to keep them engaged, to let them know that they're welcome and that the house down the street is their house. It's not limited to the people who work there every day. Have a welcoming staff and display to them my desire for having a better community, a stronger community for everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Brad,
Thank you, Commissioner.
specific concrete plans to keep yourself grounded and in touch with constituents.
As far as for grounding, I've had plenty of experience in that. The, again, decision weigh heavily on my heart. I am a servant. I have truly a servant's heart. And never take the position that I've been elected to for granted. It's to represent those who put me in that position. And again, I do not ever take that position lightly, and I take it very seriously and personally. With that, as far as keeping in touch with the constituency, the public is everywhere I go. I've served at the local level, which is the government closest to the people, and I will continue that. I'll be at thousands of doors. I will be at thousands of events, maybe not thousands, depending on terms. But I will have open houses, coffees, frequent opportunities to invite people to come speak to me and to be invited to come before them and defend my positions and to proffer what my goals are for the constituencies as well. It comes back again to getting out there, knowing what they want, and then pushing that forward as appropriate, using resources and contacts throughout the legislature and the state for that matter.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner?
All right, we'll be rotating, be Raquel, Brad, and then Becky. The question is, Marion County is overburdened with prisons and mental health institutions. Our resources are strained by the families that fall the incarcerated and the impacts they have on our county. How do you plan on holding the line on additional facilities in our community and/or finding ways to compensate Marion County for the impacts these institutions cause? So again, Raquel.
Interesting question. To hold the line, I think that it comes down to having the various municipalities that are involved coming together, having the community come together, nonprofits, business leaders to help address that issue. I think there has been tremendous work done on the reentry program here in Marion County. And there's just been a huge combination of entities that have come together and people with common concerns about the safety of our community and about the returning those previously incarcerated to a whole life where the community benefits from it. As far as additional funding is concerned, would not be for me to determine on my own, but certainly would be something that I would be interested in, especially when you've got a return on your investment, such as the Marion County Reentry Program has provided. I, along with the Des Moines Legal Clinic, the Paid in Full Oregon, there are many, many programs now that are looking to help in this arena.
Commissioner?
Yeah, Brad?
We do have a burden that exceeds the balance of the state with the facilities that we have within our jurisdiction here. from a city side, we also have burdens because of state government actually being in the capital city, and have sought recompense for that as well. Difficult. Municipalities are short on funds. The state is short on funds to a large extent as well. But it would be working to put programs in place to deal with the issues. I've worked with the Homeless Connect. I've been involved in the point in time counts for homeless as well, for the mental health issues as well, which are greatly apparent at those events as well. And finding treatment is critical. As far as the prisons and reentry, families tend to move to where or close to the prison, which brings them to Salem, and as those prisoners are released, they remain in our area. And we do have programs that we've been putting in place to deal with both the mental health issues and the reentry of those who have been incarcerated and served their time. And we need to continue the path that we've been on as far as reintegrating them into society as a whole, and on the mental health side to get them the treatment they need so that they can return to productive members of our society as well.
All right, thank you. Becky?
This is such an important issue, and we've seen where mental health needs have increased so much over the last few years. I don't think I've seen so many people homeless or walking the streets with mental health issues as we see these days in Salem. I do agree we need to work hand in hand with some private and nonprofit groups to help with this issue. I also think if we could get the legislature to be more balanced, we could change some of the budgetary items and free up some money that maybe we can look at this issue, the mental health issue. But I think it's one of the most important issues in our area right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Willis.
So we're going to start with Brad. What about your experience or background makes you the most prepared candidate for service in the legislature?
Thank you for that question. My service to the city of Salem for 19 years, and from the service to the League of Oregon Cities for the past 9 years, serving as president in 2016, has put me in positions of great learning. I've been involved in finance, in telecom, in infrastructure. I've also had to defend those votes. I've had to actually serve in a super minority, much like whomever is selected today will get the opportunity to endure as well. I've been tested in that. I've maintained a strong voice of opposition to those things that are harmful, in my opinion, to our constituents. And I bring lots of tools and lots of base knowledge that I've acquired throughout both my private and governmental service.
Thank you. Becky?
One of the things that's most wonderful about this country, just one of the things, is the citizen legislature. I was not involved politically at all raising my children. I've worked as a farmer, as a small business owner, just recently getting involved more in politics. I think that is a strength for me. I've worked mostly in the background. I've worked with a lot of people. I've made a lot of acquaintances. And then 5 years ago, I started working at the state capitol, which has given me a great benefit in that I know the people there, I know the processes, I know the issues, and I can hit the ground running. I think that my skills, my people skills. My daughter says that I make my best friends on the yarn aisle at Michael's because I'll walk up and say, I like that yarn. What are you making? I have no trouble talking to people. I have great people skills, and that is going to help me a lot in this position. Thank you.
Raquel?
Thank you. For many years, I've said that professionally, what has prepared me the most was literally raising children, keeping them on schedule, keeping them moving forward, addressing varied needs under pressure. It's a skill set that is incredibly transferable, and taking that skill set of being able to listen and help formulate solutions to problems, to challenges, helping to mentor and to demonstrate how things can be done. It's difficult to explain, but I feel strongly about that. On a practical level, I've had the opportunity to work in the legislature early on in my second career, and then here again recently this last year. I've worked intensely with the local nonprofits here in Salem, everywhere from, or ranging from the homeless issues with UGM to legal issues for people who had been recently released from prison, the Demunas Legal Clinic, all the way to the West Salem Dream Center. Additionally, I've been self-employed for the last 6 years, and I'm a very, very small business owner, but I have been very connected with the business community and understand some of the challenges that they face as business owners. Thank you.
Okay. It's coming back to me. Everybody take a deep breath. You're doing good? All right.
Shake it down.
What's that?
Shake it down.
Yeah. All right. So if selected, what process will you follow to solicit input and find answers on legislative issues? I guess I get 2 questions in here. And what are the actions you will take to be effective in the minority? So if selected, what processes will you follow to solicit input and find answers on legislative issues? And what are the actions you will take to be effective in the minority? Oh, and we're starting, I think this time with Becky, right? We're back to Becky.
Soliciting answers is something I'm going to really rely on my people skills. I have no trouble contacting people saying, I know that you know about this issue, tell me what you think. And I'm going to rely on a lot of acquaintances and people who work in the community to let me know about those issues. It's really important because you can, I know how easy it is when you're so busy to be stuck in this vacuum in that building and not be able to speak to the people outside. As far as the second part, could you remind me?
Being effective in the minority or in the super minority as we are, excuse me. Whoever gets appointed will be. Carl's in the audience, he knows what it's like.
That is an awesome question. The minority was heard this session. The minority was heard loud and clear. And we actually made a difference this session. So I think continuing to work side by side, walk side by side with the people who want liberty and jobs and strength and freedom for Oregon is how we're going to continue while being in the minority for 1 more year.
Okay. Raquel.
Thank you. The process to solicit input would be wide and varied, depending upon the issue. You, of course, want to go to the people who are the specialists in the, on the issue, but you also want to be able to reach out to the communities that would potentially be affected by the legislation or by the issues. And so if it's something to do with business, obviously you would want to solicit your business leaders throughout the district, and so that would include Salem, Almsville, and Turner. And conversely, if it was something to do with social services, make sure that you speak with the nonprofits in the area as to how that might affect them. Additionally, always soliciting input from your constituents is important, because ultimately it affects everybody, the decisions that are made. There are a number of retired legislators in town who are more than willing to also sit down and provide guidance for people. And that's something that I would definitely rely upon. Additionally, surrounding myself with good staff who are knowledgeable of the issues and the building. Then, to be effective as the minority, what actions would I take? I would hold fast to my beliefs and my values.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Brad.
I built a fairly large group of regulators, mostly at the city level throughout the state. Also built relationships with sitting legislators, past legislators. I would be contacting those who would have skills and knowledge in those areas that would come before me, and soliciting input from the general populace can be done in numerous ways. Tend to have a fairly deep social media connection throughout the state as well. But working with the cities around the state, small cities, large cities, have their own issues based on their size a lot of times, and I've met with them and I've worked with them, and I've actually lobbied at the legislative level for their positions as well. So it would be reaching out to those who have vested interest on those. As far as being effective, I work across, well, we don't really have aisles in city government, but we do in a de facto way. And I think I've earned the respect of those who I've served with. I'm a teacher as well, and work to make the process effective, and part of that is teaching people how the system works. And those who have sat beside me who don't necessarily agree politically on certain items, I have no problem offering those gifts that I've been given to assist them to make that process more effective as well. And most of the decisions are not that political. The ones that are, I will always stand firm, and as I have in the past.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you. Commissioner Brentano.
We'll start with Raquel this time. Gun control advocates always use the term reasonable gun control, and that really means restrict possession or access. So how will you push back, or will you? So starting with Raquel.
Yes, I would push back. I would view all legislation, potential legislation, through the lens of the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. I feel that overall, our government has overreached into several areas, and I believe gun control is one of those areas, and they continue to make that reach, and I'll hold the line on it. I'm not interested in having those rights taken away.
Likewise, the Second Amendment is pretty clear and shall not be infringed. It was meant to protect our First Amendment rights as well. and they keep coming for it. And they will continue to come, and I will fight them at every step. There's a large network of people out there who have been effective at bringing the public into the fight against that legislation, and so far we've been pretty effective at that. But we need to remain 100% firm. I will fight. We're talking about gun control, but got to take that in context. It is one of the most valuable freedoms that we've been given, and if we lose it, we lose more than just our ability to bear arms to protect ourselves.
Thank you. Becky?
You can tell we're all conservatives. We all totally agree. We're all on the same team here. There's no reason to limit. We need to look at personal responsibility. We need to look at more mental health help for people out there. We need to change the conversation from gun control to helping the people and holding people who do these crimes accountable.
How can I score you if you all say the same thing? All right, thank you.
We're passing notes underneath.
Oh, is that it?
So Brad, I think you're going to start off with this one. Each of you come with pre-existing relationships, employers, supporters, friends, family, and colleagues. But you're going to represent all of House District 19. What will you do to ensure that you represent all of House District 19 impartially and independently?
We do have contacts, all of us, throughout the state. The way I view government, again, being a constitutional conservative, are the rights of the individual as well, are paramount. And as one makes a decision, if there can be harm from that legislation, it makes it very difficult. We tend to overdo government. We tend to regulate to the lowest common denominator, which removes our freedoms. And every decision that I make will be based on maintaining the maximum degree of freedom, be that for business in their operations or for the individual who just really wants to live their life, sometimes errantly assuming that government is looking out for their best interest. So pushing for the individual and for maximum liberty.
Sorry. Becky, I think you're next.
I am the Chief of Staff for Representative Neerman at this time, and I run our office the way that I run my life. Regardless of our beliefs, I can be very polite. I can listen to you. I thought about sending you copies of some notes that Representative Neerman has received from groups that don't agree with our office at all. One of them that comes to mind is Moms Demand Action. They want gun control. They would love to even have the police be disarmed. And we have received 2 or 3 notes saying, "Thank you so much for having Becky in your office because she listens to us." I can go in even though I disagree, and I can listen to their point of view, and I can even tell them my point of view in a polite way, and we can agree to disagree. We can agree on some issues, disagree on others. That's the way I'll run my office.
It's always a challenge to be able to hold on to your values and to your beliefs while representing the diversity of the constituents, even in House District 19. And I think first and foremost, I would listen. I would want to hear what the concerns are, what their desires are, what their outcomes, the anticipated outcomes that they would like to have. I would acknowledge those. I would attempt to understand, and sometimes we can't completely understand because we've not walked that mile that that person has. However, we can treat everybody with respect and acknowledge where they have been and where they're attempting to go. I would provide positive feedback as best as possible. And maybe one other thing that I should have said up front was I have a welcome mat. I've been known to be a gracious and welcoming person, and I believe that that's the truth. And I would certainly have an office that represents that to everybody who comes through it, regardless of which House district or Senate district they're from, or country for that matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm looking for more questions here, but I guess that's it.
I can give you a couple.
You want some? Yeah, go ahead.
I do.
As long as we give everybody a chance to
Well,
answer them.
I had two that I'm just not heard really answered, and a couple of you have touched on it, but the issues I had was electability and knowledge of the legislative process. So I know you've had hints of it in there, but I just haven't, listen, probably electability is to me a really important one, so perhaps you could comment on that and a little bit about, and I know two of you have legislative experience and one I don't know, so perhaps we can find out.
So do you want to just, the question is, talk about my ability to be elected?
Electability and knowledge of the legislative process, procedures here in Oregon.
And Brad started last time, so I think it's Becky's turn. And then I'll
Yes.
go.
Becky, you want to go first on this one?
Sure. This is probably my first campaign, and I learned a lot from it. And I learned things that I would change. This was a 2-week campaign, and I did my best, but I did it by myself, and I would not do that. I realize now it takes a team. And when I was chosen by the PCPs to come here, I received 90% of the vote. I think that's significant. I do not personally know all of those people, but I work side by side and they know my reputation. I will make being reelected a full-time job. I will do everything I need to do, and I will have a good team behind me. As far as the legislative experience, I've worked for the last 5 sessions at the Capitol. I've learned a lot. And working with Representative Neerman, he's given me a different insight to where we have discussions, and I've learned from his knowledge. And he is amazing, the things he knows. People will call to make an appointment, and he'll say, oh yeah, he was a legislator back in the 80s. And like, how do you remember all of this? He's just amazing. So I've had a very good teacher, and I'm very confident in my ability to work as a state representative in that building.
Thank you. Raquel?
Electability. During the course of this process, I have reached out to numerous community leaders, including the mayors of all 3 cities, and excluding the mayors because I did not ask for recommendation or support from them. I received an overwhelming support from people who have long-term commitment and time in the community and have seen me at work. And I'm dedicated. I work hard. I will knock doors. I will make phone calls. I believe that I have the ability to raise money, and I think that's first and foremost in an election. House District 19 will not be a pass this go-round. My guess is it will be a contested seat in 2020. Additionally, I've reached out to the caucus leadership to introduce myself and share a little bit about my background and the skills and the passion that I have to bring to the office. Additionally, I reached out to one of the special interest groups here in town, the Latino Business Alliance, and was warmly received by them as I've partnered with them previously in efforts here in Salem. Thank you.
Excellent question, Commissioner. Knowledge of process, the legislative process, similar to municipal government processes to a large extent. To fill that difference, I've served on the City Council Legislative Committee, reviewing bills that move through, mostly that impact city government. We can't look at all of them. League of Oregon Cities, going through the process, actually speaking with cities throughout the state, 241 of them, large and small, to find their issues with which to then take into the Marble House. And then finally, from an electability perspective, I've campaigned throughout my life. I've been unsuccessful in one campaign. That said, I think that was providence to some extent as well because of the gifts I've been given. I teach on the business side, and this position will actually be very similar to my 19 years in City Council. It is a continuous race on a 2-year cycle, which will be new and different for me, but I will start on day one, and it will be a full-time campaign. It is imperative that we hold this seat. They will be coming after it. With that in mind, the state has woken up. Supermajorities tend to overplay their hand, and we're starting to see a lot of people become involved in that, and we need to keep them awake, and I will be interacting with them on a continuous basis, and hopefully we can bring back sanity to the state.
Great. Okay. So Commissioner Brantano exercised
His prerogative.
discretion of the chair to ask another question. Do you have another
Discretion
question
of the
you'd like to
dean.
ask? Is there anything that, or do you have another one? I mean, I'll let you go. You know how I try to achieve perfection with you. So.
Yes, I know. No, I'm satisfied. I'll just say this out loud. None of them really have said they're going to talk to us when they need answers.
I know.
Just so you know.
Well, I heard somebody say they would talk to old legislators.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
So you're the
with
one.
blonde hair. Right. Mentioned blonde hair, old legislators.
I don't have any questions, I don't think.
No?
We've covered a lot of ground.
I kind of do. I don't know if I should ask this one or not.
Go for it. Sam did.
I'm going to ask this question. And who do we start with? Is it
Raquel is now.
So you get appointed today, sworn in whenever. How much money could you raise in the next 60 days for your campaign?
The goal would be 100,000. I think reality would be 50.
Thank you. Brad?
Thank you, Commissioner. Knowing that the costs continue to escalate, I say 50 is a good number to strive for on the upside. I would be trying to, in 60 days, look to exceed it, maybe $1,000 a day, 60,000. And that wouldn't stop after 60 days.
Becky?
Well, I'm the one that hasn't been involved in a campaign other than working in the background, making the phone calls, knocking on doors. I would immediately contact somebody to manage my campaign, and I would work with them to get a hold of donors and raise as much as we possibly can. I don't know how much that is. I haven't been involved. If Raquel says it's 100,000, that's my goal. She's been running campaigns for 10 years in this district. But I will do whatever it takes. I will make the phone calls. I will knock the doors. I will write the letters. I will do what it takes. I don't want to lose a seat.
Okay. Thank you. I see Carl's eyes going up. 100 grand in 60 days or 50 grand in 60 days. I think you're happy with that, right, Carl? Yeah, good. It's important. So I think we've reached the point where they get to do a closing statement, if I'm right, if I'm following our agenda. So you each have a chance to do a closing statement, and I believe we are starting with, I don't know, Brad, why don't we start with you? I can't remember
Yep.
where I'm supposed to be.
Reverse order, so.
Yeah.
Start
Okay.
on my side of the table, and it actually fits in line with the additional questions as well.
Great.
Again, thank you for the opportunity to come before you today. To actually come before you and ask to be a member of a super minority, which will be a less than desirable workplace right off. Some may consider less than rational at times. I've served in a super minority twice so far at the city council level. I'm well prepared to take this seat, be able to fight on the field of battle for those political items that are beyond the ones where you'll typically get consensus. I will start campaigning on day one again to maintain that seat. It's imperative that we maintain that seat. I am able to work across the aisle to get good legislation. I also bring skills and knowledge that will allow me to take those items that I'm not in agreement with and offer modifications. I have a strong environmental background, emergency planning and response, finance and taxation. And I believe that I will be able to alter the course of legislation based on the knowledge that I have and my ability to solve complex problems. I am dedicated. I will be there every day. I'll be there when I'm not there. Mentally, I have a very high level of responsibility. I will be involved whenever I am asked. And that's how the government is supposed to work. We are in an off-balance situation right now. I think the most effective session that there ever was when Commissioner Cameron was running a split house. And we need to get back to those days, and then hopefully a little further than that in the days that follow as well. I have many skills that I'm willing to offer to you today, to offer to the constituents in House District 19, as well as the entire state of Oregon. And I would request your vote for appointment to take that seat.
Thank you. Becky?
I have no exit strategy. I'm not looking for land in other states. I'm not moving. Oregon is my home, and it's my family's home. Regardless if I receive this appointment, I'll be working and volunteering for Oregon. I have a couple incredible opportunities to participate in some after-school programs for high school students. I'll be looking into our foster youth, being an advocate for Oregon's most vulnerable citizens. I'll continue to walk side by side with the anti-mandatory vaccination parents, the medical freedom parents, and the Timber Unity Group to keep jobs and liberty in Oregon. I'll continue to visit with my neighbors, keeping them informed on what is happening at the Capitol and how they can get involved. I'll continue my role helping with the ORP to get conservatives elected in Oregon. If you honor me with this appointment, it'll be my full-time job. I'm committed to working with the House District 19 constituents. I'll build relationships with community leaders and work with them for our community and for Oregon. This is an extremely exciting time to be involved in Oregon politics. People are energized and they're paying attention. They're getting more involved. It's motivating to be a part of this movement where we can bring the balance of power closer to even. If we could work in a bipartisan way, solve real problems such as the PERS issue, it'd be wonderful to once again use Oregon's natural resources to create well-paying jobs. I want to be the common sense conservative voice during these times for House District 19. I thank you for your attention, and I ask for your vote.
Thank you. Raquel?
Thank you, Commissioners. The time is right for me to step up and lead. I have established relationships throughout the business, faith, municipal, nonprofit, and political communities. I have demonstrated time and again my ability to listen, to participate in strategies and solutions, and to persevere when the going gets tough. My collective work in this community proves my willingness to work across a varied setting of people and issues, culminating in stronger and safer communities for everyone. The 80th Oregon Legislative Assembly ended not a minute too soon. It brought new taxes, reversed the 2014 voter decision on undocumented drivers, and it handicapped voters' use of electronic downloadable petitions. These are only a few of the final bills that passed. It also brought moms and kids to the Capitol in record numbers to fight for their right to make medical decisions about their children. Loggers and farmers showed up on the streets of the Capitol more than once to say enough is enough, and I agree. Protecting the rights of the citizens has been the legacy of House District 19. Representatives Cameron, Hack, and Bowles never put the banner down. I will hold the banner high. I will listen. I will remain relevant to the issues and effective for the constituents of House District 19. I will provide the support and encouragement to constituents facing adversity in their dealings with state government. I will remain steadfast to my beliefs. I will persevere. Leadership takes dedication, integrity, and honesty. And if appointed, I will bring these traits and my skills to the newly appointed representative to House District 19. Thank you, and I ask for your support today.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so according to the agenda, if I follow it, right? Chad, nice job. We're going to take a break. We're a little bit ahead of our schedule, so we'll take a break for probably 10, 15 minutes.
15 is too many, 10.
Yeah, so we'll be back. That clock says 5 till, my clock says it's 11 o'clock. So we'll be back at 10 after 11. So we will take a recess and come back at 11:10. Okay, we are back. So, we're back from our little recess break, and I want to start off our deliberations by just announcing that somebody talked about keeping the forest products business. We have, I believe, Chad just told me 328 letters of support spread around all three candidates. Commissioner, we were just talking, this is my third time doing this. Your many, we can't count as many as you've done it, but never had this
No,
many.
nothing like that, usually 15 or 20 total.
Which, I'll start off because that tells us that we have three excellent candidates sitting in front of us, and that's why we got that much support from the community and constituents throughout House District 19. Typically, the process goes, we'll share a little bit, a few comments, and then we will actually announce a vote, and then we will make a motion for a nomination. So that's how this process will go. So, do you wanna start with your comments? You're gonna vote first when we actually go to a vote. So, and then we'll go through our comments.
Okay, well, I wanted to see, I can usually be silly, and you're gonna say, Sam, you're starting right out. But I'll tell you what I've been fighting, not saying I'm gonna tell you a story anyway. I judge cheesecakes, and I score them. And it's really, it's taste, it's appearance, texture, taste. But taste trumps all, you have to know that. So I'm sorry why I thought of that when I sat and listened to the things that you've said here. It actually was when I looked at my scoring, and I told you, I joked about that too. I really did score them, and they're very, very close, because you're kind of all my kind of people. Why shouldn't you be? So, conservative Republicans, you came here already vetted pretty seriously, it sounded like, on abortion issues and right to life. So I'm looking for common sense, pragmatism, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, electable, and representative of House District 19, and you all are. So, you hear that every time, oh, any one of you, but I really mean it. You're all acceptable, and I think would be competent in the position. I don't know if you want us to declare our favorite here. I guess
No, we'll come back to you.
all right.
Commissioner, you wanna?
Yeah. This is actually, I think, probably the hardest vote I've had to take so far as a commissioner. In part, it's because I'm friends with each of you. So that's pretty hard. Not that I haven't been friends with the other folks that we've just had to make decisions on, but and I do think that each of you do a really good job. So that's really hard. I also think that this is really healthy. I really liked this. I liked getting input from all the people about this process, especially, I just was astonished. And so I guess maybe I'll say some of the things that I liked about each of the candidates and sort of how my thought process is going. One of the things I love about Becky is I love her warmth. I've been friends with Becky for a long time, and I've always felt that she just has a really good heart for this work, and I've always appreciated that about Becky. And so that was going on in my mind. I think it came through in this interview. Raquel is just super competent and very organized, and I think that really came through in this process as well, both in how she presented herself and in her answers and her letters. Public service is really important to me, and I think Brad exemplifies that, with 20 years as a volunteer city councilor, and I think that means a lot, to serve the people like that. So those are some of the things that I've been thinking about as I've been going through this process, and some things that are going around in my head.
Yeah, I would say, I'd echo those thoughts that you both mentioned. I think somebody who has served in House District 19 and understanding the district, of course, it's changed a little bit in the last 5 years, the demographics, but still a very, how how do I want to say this? It kind of represents the state in a way that it's got this urban area that you represent as well as a huge rural area. And I think that all three of you have a handle on that. Family is extremely important to all of you. The Second Amendment, you wouldn't be sitting here if you hadn't gone through a PCP process that has a specific view of who they want to represent the people of House District 19, obviously from a Republican Party side. However, once you get there, this appointment process obviously is partisan because you have to replace a Republican. However, once you get there, you represent. When we did redistricting, it was 63,000 citizens. I was on that redistricting committee. I don't know how many citizens that'll be in the next one, but you're representing all those people. And it's important that the qualities that you all bring have the ability to listen, and I think you all talked about listening and respect for individuals even when you disagree with them. That carried into the building as you all have experienced either in an elected position or working in the building. That's just critical. People really need to be listened to, even if you have a different value than they do. It's important, and I think all three of you bring that to the situation. Brad, I loved what you said about be there every day, high level of responsibility. You take that seriously, and as I've watched you from far, the city council, you've demonstrated that quality. And Becky, you talked about serving and in the background and continuing to serve regardless of what happens today, and that's again a dedication and a point of personal integrity that you carry with you that is really good. Raquel, your community support, the broad nonprofits, the different leadership in the community. Again, all three of you, any one of you would do a great job representing House District 19 and other elected positions as well in this community. So I just want to say thank you for, as Brad, as you said, this is a difficult thing to even put your name in the hat and step forward to do this. And I know how you feel sitting there on the other side. It's an interesting situation that most people never ever get to experience. So I want to congratulate you all for being here. So we'll go back to you since you're going to give your hand up first. Commissioner.
Well, again, all meet what I was looking for. Common sense, pragmatism, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, electable, and representative of the district. And I told you it's taste, and my choice is going to be Raquel Moore. And in fact, I will make that a motion.
I'll second the
maybe
motion.
you'd rather not. Would you rather I didn't
No,
just
you can.
discuss it?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion on that motion.
I'm also going to vote for Raquel. I thought that it is a bit of a campaign, as Becky said, and I thought that Raquel, frankly, ran the best campaign. To a certain extent, this is a tryout. Is what sort of a campaign are you going to run in the fall? And you ran a very good campaign, so I'm also going to vote for you.
Well, I know everybody here knows that I've known you for, you've actually worked with me since 2010. Actually, I've worked for you, to be truthful. Raquel, I'm going to support the motion, and the reason why is that, again, I've said this, all three of you could do a good job, but to your personal relationship and your professional experience that I've got to see over the years, I think the campaign issue is really critical. I know that all three of you would work hard knocking on doors. We've got to raise money. You've got to be able to do a good job starting tomorrow or whatever day you get sworn in to be able to do this. So my vote will go as well to Raquel.
And Mr. Chair, if I
Yeah.
could make one more comment. We got some of our notes several people said, oh, pick one of these two people, but don't pick this other one. And I guess for the record, and I felt like that was a little bit confusing because the PCPs sent us 3 people to choose from, so it was a little bit confusing to have PCPs then say, we sent you 3, but only pick out of 2. It's sort of like, well, you guys sent these names. And so I found that was a little bit confusing, and I just wanted to put that out there, I guess, for our discussion and for the folks that are watching. So.
Well, there was support for all 3 candidates, but yeah, there were
Just a few like that,
those letters.
and I just wanted to say I didn't think that those were very helpful. So.
Okay. So any further discussion? We have a motion, that you would like to appoint Raquel Moore Green as state representative for House District 19. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, that is done. And is there any other business that I forgot, left out? Chad, we're good? We will adjourn.
Thank everybody for being involved in this process. It involves all the PCPs, all the organization, and all these people coming here today. If that does it, that's fine, but you just got to acknowledge all the work.
Yes, and all the families that are in support of these 3 people. We're just excited about the future for all of us and all of you. And we thank you for being here. Okay?
Thank you.
We will adjourn.